as a in a get request in a get method format, I'm submitting some data. But what if I like directly go to this particular website? I mean this particular page. Okay. If I hit now, what it is telling me, it is saying multi-value dictionary key error. Okay, it is saying username. Basically, username. There is nothing called as username. So here I am getting this error. Whenever I am printing it, I am getting this error. Why? Because whenever we do, without passing anything, we just call a get method. Okay, whenever we are just calling one get method, let me just type request.get. Okay, if I just type request.get, and here if I'm just going to this particular page, okay, I'm just going to that particular page, I'm not submitting any data as such, I'm just like on the first time only I'm coming to this page, then what will be stored in get dictionary? If I'm just coming here for the first time, what will be stored in the get dictionary? Empty. Correct. It is going to be empty. Nothing will be stored in that particular dictionary. See here, this query basically this dictionary, this get dictionary is empty. Correct. It is empty. Now you tell me, if I pass some data, now what I'm doing? Now I'm trying to add something, add some data. If I try to log in, if I hit enter this login page, now I am submitting some data. I am submitting username and password also I am submitting. Now what will happen? Now this query, this get method, this get dictionary is going to store all this data. Yes or no? It is going to store like username as a key and this as a value and password as key and this all these things as a value. We'll see. You see, it is storing it. Yes or no? Correct. It is storing it, right? Yes. So what happens? Let's say whenever we are passing some data, at that time we can call it, right? Uh, if I am passing some data, that means at that time I can say like I want to search for username. At that time, get dictionary is not going to be empty. There will be something called as username. Yes or no? If I just reload this only, see, at whenever I go for this route, I am submitting something called as username. That is why it is showing me. There is that we have something called as username. But what if I remove all this thing and if I just go to that particular site? Now what is happening? That get dictionary is empty. Correct? This get dictionary is empty now. So there is nothing called as username for now. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? There is nothing called as username. That's the reason why we are getting this error. Understood? Understood everyone why we are getting this error and all? Because we are trying to call something which is not present in that particular query dict or dictionary. Correct. So what we can do, we can handle with some logic, right? We will handle it with some username. We can handle it with some logic. Okay. We will say if request.get username is not equal to, how you are going to write it? We'll just say this much. If it is empty, it will give none directly. Okay. If it is not none, so not of request dot get of username. Okay. If this is there, then I will print request dot get of. No, we don't need this not also. We'll try this logic. Okay, let us check. Basically, we are not going to use it. I'm just telling you. See, okay. Direct request dot get. Okay, you see, we are checking whether request dot get. If this is empty, if the dictionary is empty, that means what it will be, what it indicates, default data type, correct? If the dictionary is empty, that means now this dictionary is not going to be empty. It is non-default, so it will be true and we will print this data. See, ASDF. Okay, so understood how to handle it with the logic and all. Yes or no? Did you understood it? How you can handle it with logic? Yes, we can also pass. See, we don't even need, if we just pass user also, we don't have anything called as user. That time also it is going to give the same error. See, that it does not recognize what is this user. So whenever you are getting this error, you have to check whether first thing whether you have made any spelling mistake or not, and secondly you have to handle it with this logic. If it is empty, okay, then print it. If it is not empty, then don't do anything. I mean, if it is not empty, print it. Okay, and if it is empty, then don't do anything. It is going to give you error if you try to do anything. Okay, so here we are going to say username, right? See, I'm not getting any error as such. Even if I go to this site, like if I just run this page, still I'm not getting any error. Understood how you can handle it with that logic? Yes or no? Now this was about get request. Now by default we are having get request, correct? Now the method is what? Method is get. So we will see all these things, okay? If I say print me request dot method, okay? If I print this, what I will get, guys? Tell me. What am I going to get? If I print request dot method get, correct? I will get method. Let's see. I'll just reload it. See, am I getting get method? See, by default also for reloading, like, or if you want to go to any site, any page, if you go, by default it is a get request. That's why we are getting here as get. What if I submit data? What if I try to submit the data? What will happen? What will I get? Which method I will get? If I'm trying to submit the data, the same thing, get only. Okay, see, I'll click on login. As soon as I click on login, see, I'm still getting the get method only, because by default our form is set on get method, and these views also takes by default a get method. Okay, understood? Understood, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. Now this was about your get method. It is not really safe. See, we can see all our data in our URL here, correct? And we can easily access it. What if I want to implement the post method, which is a much more secured version, correct? Which is much more secured than get request. Yes or no? Okay. If I want to implement the post method, I told you already that our form is set to get method by default, correct? Now, if I want to implement a post method in this, then what I have to do? I told you that in our form only, here in this form attribute, after action, okay, after this action, put a space, okay, after this quotes and all, put a space, right there something called as method. We have to specify the method, okay. Now here you can see it is specifying us three methods dialog we have, get and post. Which one we want? See, by default form is set to get method, so we don't have to write it as like something like this, get, okay. We don't have to write it, okay. We don't have to write something like get, because by default form is set to get method only. If I want to implement something else, then I have to write this method attribute, and in this method attribute I will pass post, okay. And I will suggest just write a capital post itself, okay. Instead of small letters, just pass as capital. It's better. It is better while you are actually, you know, importing, not really importing, when you are getting it in your views and all, it is much more beneficial. So pass it in capital alphabets, post, okay. And that's it. That is going to turn your form into using post method, okay. Instead of get, now it is going to use what? Post method. And we said that post method is much more secured, correct? Yes or no? Post method is what? It is much more secured. It is not going to show you your data in URL and all, okay. But the same thing, it will store it in the same thing, okay. It is going to store it in the same way, but it is not going to show you in your URL and all, okay. Now what is the dictionary? Now what, which dictionary you are going to get and all, we will see, okay. Fine. But there is something which Django provides us, okay. Now we said that post methods are already secured, correct? Since post methods are already secured, okay. But if you try to go to this website now, okay, you are going to get the form. And now this form is running on which method? Tell me. This form is running on which method now? Is it get method? Didn't we check now? Didn't we change here? See, we put method equal to post. So now our form is running on post method. Okay. Now our form is running on post method. If I try to submit anything here, will it show me in the URL? Yes or no? No. Correct? Post method is not going to show you in the URL because post method is very much secure. It will not show you in any of this browser. It is directly going to submit it to our backend. But when it comes to using Django, okay, implementing a post method with Django, now Django is going to do what? Django provides us with some extra security. You will see what is this security and all. You will see. Let us say this form is now running on post method. It is using a post method. If I write some data into this form, okay, And if I try to submit this data by clicking on this login, okay, if I try to submit this data, Django is going to throw me this error. See what error it is showing me? Forbidden. Okay, 403 error it is giving me. What is this error? Okay, nothing is missing. Okay, don't worry, nothing is missing. So Django tells us that whenever you are imposing post method, whenever you are implementing host method, you have to bind this entire data which you are trying to pass. You have to bind this data together in a much more secured way. Okay, all of you understand what is binding and what is securing the data? Kind of encapsulation. Okay, so basically what we are going to do is we are just going to encapsulate the data by implementing something called as CSRF. Now, you can note it down if you want. CSRF stands for Cross Site Request Forgery. Cross Site Request Forgery. Okay, got it? What does CSRF stands for? It stands for Cross Site Request Forgery. Now, if you have ever, you know, come across any cyber security concepts, then you might be knowing what is cross site request forgery. So basically it is nothing but a forgery attack. What is forgery attack? Whenever your data is in the transmission, let us say whenever your data is in the transmission from your backend to the server, or sorry, from your front end to the server, when the data is in the in under transmission, during that time any hacker might like attack on that data and either change it, or it can change the direction also to where it should actually go. For example, uh, let's say you are trying to pay someone. Okay, let's say if you are trying to GPay someone. Okay, now basically GPaying means your data is under the transmission, correct? Data is being transmitted during, like, from when you click on, like, you enter your pin and click on submit. From there to the another person receiving it from A to B, in between there will be someone who can attack this data and transfer it to itself, to himself. Okay, so that is forgery attack. It can do. You are trying to log into your net banking. If you are trying to, yes, I will tell. It's very simple. Let's say if you're trying to log into your net banking, when you, as soon as you submit your credentials, there may be some person who is sitting there waiting for you to submit the credentials, and then he can attack on this transmission of data and see the data. If it is not secured, that is what this error is telling, that we see that Django basically tells us what? Django tells us that you have to secure your data. Okay. If we don't, throw us this error. Okay. That now we have to implement something called as CSRF token. Now there is a token. Okay. What happens with this token is whenever you are submitting the data, one token is assigned, one secured token is assigned to your data. If this token is assigned to your data, reading your data or encrypting your data becomes little bit difficult. Are you understanding? It's kind of encrypting your data. Okay, it is kind of going to encrypt your data. Understood? Yes or no? Now how do we implement it? How do we implement it? See here only, if you read, it is telling us in the templates there is a CSRF token template tag inside each post form. Okay, that targets an internal URL. So basically we are not bothered about this targeting internal URLs and all. We are bothered about this. It is telling what there is something called as this CSRF token tag. Okay, where it is telling us to implement it here wherever we are using the form with a post method. Are you understanding? It is telling us to implement that CSRF token where you are using a form with a post method. So what really we have to do is just one simple thing. After writing this form, okay, even before you write any label and all, here only, just below the form tag, it should be inside the form, but after the form. Okay, soon after the form, you have to write one tag called as like this. All of you know now how to write this Django template tag. Okay, here I will CSRF underscore token. That's it. You just have to write CSRF underscore token. It does not have any end tag. Okay, it does not have any end tag. We just have to implement CSRF token whenever we are using post method. Now our data is safe. Okay, now whatever the data we are passing, it is safe. What will happen? This CSRF token will bind this entire data together. Okay, this entire data whatever we are submitting, it is going to bind it together and implement some token to it so that any hacker cannot read this data. Okay, and we are not bothered about how it does and all. We are not bothered about what it implements and all. We just need to know that we have to implement something called a CSRF token whenever we are using post method. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll go back here. I will write some data here and I'll try to log in. You look at the URL and tell me whether you noticed any changes in the URL or not. Okay, everyone pay attention to the URL. I will log in 3 2 1. Okay, we have to reload it. Okay, and I will hit enter in 1 2 3. Did anything changed in URL? Did anything changed in URL? No, right? Nothing has changed in URL, but the data has been submitted into our backend. Okay, the data has been submitted into our backend, and here what type of method we are getting? What type of method we are getting? Post method, correct? I'm getting post method, yes or no? Now you guys tell me, if I come here, okay, let's say I'm writing some route. I will say form slash info. Okay, if I type form slash info and if I hit enter, what type of method I will be using? what type of method I will get? Tell me. If I hit, let's say I'm going to that particular site. Okay, everyone pay attention. I am going to that particular site only. I am just going to that particular site. See, I typed something. Okay, I typed something and I hit enter. What type of method I should get now? What type of request is it? Is it a post request or a get request? Is it a post request or a get request? Am I posting any data? See, if I come back, what type of request is it? What type of request is that? It is get request, right? It is a get request. Yes or no? By default, anywhere you go, it is a get request until and unless you submit any form, or when you post any data, or if you just send any data to your backend. Until and unless, or okay, until then it is a get request everywhere. You tell me, if I go to my home page here, what type of request is this? What type of request is this? It's a get request. How do we know? Here, see, get request at only slash. If I click on project, now you tell me, if I click on project, what type of request is it? Tell me, what type of request is this? Get, correct? It is get, right? See, this is also a get request. Understood? Until and unless you fill some form and submit it to your backend and you do not see anything reflecting, that time you can say it is a get request. Now, if I am going to this form slash info, this is also a get request. Now I will submit some data. Okay, I will submit some data and click on login. Now it is a post request. Understood? Understood? Print request. Okay, I'll just say print request. Okay, we will print the entire request. Okay, I will just go to this route first. Okay, let's see what do we get. I'm just going to go to this route. What type of request it will be? It will be get. Okay, I'll go to this route. That means a request dictionary should be printed. This get I'm getting, correct? I'm only getting get. Okay, we'll print that entire dictionary. Dict underscore underscore. Okay, so I'll just reload, and here I'm getting this entire dictionary. Correct. See, it is saying request equal to get request at this particular route. Correct. And all these things are there here. What is the route where we are going? Info. Route slash info. What else? CSRF token. See, you are asking, right? What? How does CSRF token looks like? Something like this. Okay. Now, what if I submit some data? How will my, okay, we'll submit some sensible data. Let's say Anita. Okay. We'll click on login. Now what I will get? I will get this as, see, what type of request is this? It's a post request, correct? It is a post request, and when it is a post request, see here, I'm getting this query dict now, correct? I'm getting this query dictionary where I have something called a CSRF middleware token. Correct? We were getting this token when we were using get method. Did we got this token in the query dictionary called as CSRF middleware token? This long token we didn't got, right? But here is our data. See, username Vanita and password hello 1234, whatever I passed there. Correct? Now you guys tell me, if I want to print this dictionary, what will I type here? Request dot what should I type if I just want to print that dictionary? Tell everyone. Post. Okay. I'll just say request dot post. Fine. I'll type here. Vanita again. Okay. I'll try. I'll hit on login. As soon as I hit on login, what I'll get? I'll get this request dot post, which is this query. See, this is what we were getting. For a get request, we only got username and password, correct? But when it comes to post request, we also get something called as CSRF middleware token. Okay, and how does token looks like? Something like this. Okay, token looks something like this. Understood, everyone? Now you guys tell me what I am printing here. Request.post. Okay, because I'm submitting some data and it is a post request. It contains one key called as post request. This request dictionary contains one key called as post. That is why we are able to print this. But what if I try to go to something like this? Let's say info. What will happen? This is what type of request? If we are hitting any URL, then it is what type of request? Get. What will I get now? On the request.post, what I am going to get? What will it print here? What it is going to print? I am getting empty query dictionary. Now, let's say if I say, okay, if I type here, I just and if I try to log in, I'm going to get ASDF, correct? Some username I will get. Now you guys tell me, if I try to hit here, okay, if I try to go to that particular route, what will happen? What type of request I will get? And what I am printing there, I am printing something called as username. Will it print a username? No. What it will give? Is it going to give me empty? Let's see. We are getting the same error, correct? We are getting the same error. Understood? Yes or no? We are getting the same error because there is nothing called as username. Okay. If I want to do that, I can handle it using this logic. And always, whenever it is a post request, we do write this logic saying if request dot method, okay, if the request dot method is double equal to, in a string you can write this post. If it is post, only then you print me something called as username. Okay, and also you can print request dot post, you can say password. Okay, only if the request dot method, it is, if it is post, only then do this. Okay, or else don't do. Now I will type. mm, Okay, I'll hit login. Now it is a post request. Yes or no? It's a post request. So see, if I hit on post request, only if I hit on post request, it is going to give me Django and blah blah. And if I try to go to any of the site, if I try to hit, it is not going to give me anything. See, it's a get request. Understood everyone? Post request and get request. Yes. And every time whenever we want to submit the data, we are going to make use of post request only. Okay, got it? Okay. Now you guys implement it for yourself. And tomorrow we will start with the uh, create operation in our in the project which we are doing, task manager. Okay. We are going to create one form and there we are going to submit some data. Okay. Now you guys implement this post request. It is very simple.